And from more than 4,000 kilometers away, I have to say, James, thank you very, very much. Not only 4,000 kilometers away, 4,000 kilometers, and if you include the length that you have to travel through South Africa to get to our border, 4 countries away from where we are, and we're able to switch from one place, Mara, completely different ecosystem, to the Kruger National Park. I mean, isn't today just one of those monumental days? It's one of those days of days in the wild earth and the safari life story. I'm very, very, very happy that you are all here to share it with us. Excuse me blinking every now and again. I must be honest, the sun feels like it's welding my forehead to the ground here today. It is intensely bright. We are obviously going out of our winter now and into what we will call our spring on the 1st of September, and then into Hell Month, which happens in October. And what I mean by Hell Month is the fact that the temperatures peak at 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 40, 45 degrees centigrade, and no water and no vegetation around. Now, this morning we were having a look at this pride, and I must be honest, I was quite worried about the one cub. That little cub that you're looking at now is the one that we were worried about this morning. He's now joined his parents, but you can see he's just not looking that happy. Look, that pose that he's in at the moment isn't too much of a concern. He is so full of buffalo at the moment that he can literally just only drag himself out of the sun and into the shade. And that's a common pose for a lion cub to be in. But just look at how swollen he is. Sorry, VM, I just didn't mean to do that. But he is incredibly swollen with the mange at the moment, all the scratching and licking. So, Dory, all the way from South Carolina, you've asked me if we've ever found the 8th cub. And you know, I was actually trying to have a look for the 8th cub now. I still only count 7. However, there is an anomaly. On top of the termite mound, which we can't really see right now, but straight through there are some cubs, I think 2. There may be a 3rd up there, Dory, and that may give us the 8th cub. But I have confirmed that 8 cubs started to eat on the buffalo, but only 7 cubs made it here. It seemed like that this morning. But, I mean, a cub could have been easily lying out of where I could have seen today. I mean, it's not impossible that there was a cub lying on top of this termite mound the whole time. So, yes, we may still have 8 cubs, but steel yourself for the fact that around about, the average in Africa is around about 80% cub mortality in their first year. So only 2 out of every 10 cubs usually survive. The Kruger National Park obviously has a much higher survival rate than that. I would reckon that probably between 4 and 6 out of every 10 cubs die. Definitely not 8 out of every 10. It's one of the reasons why we have such healthy coalitions of males, such as this Birmingham Boy Coalition, which started off as 5, is now 4. They lost a member in taking over the Nkuhuma and the Styx Pride. Actually, I don't know if they lost their member taking over this pride, but they lost a member in a fight to secure their territory that has in it the Styx Pride and the Nkuhuma Pride lioness, prides of lions, I should say. You can see male just holding the female there quite lovingly on her shoulder. I don't think there's much affection between these two, to be honest. It's more just a complete dominance thing. Dominance and submission. That is exactly what it is. Now, Via made an interesting remark. And Sam, I'll answer your question about lion cubs in a second. Via made an interesting remark in that the Birmingham boy here doesn't suffer from any of the mange that all the females and all the cubs are suffering from. And he wanted to know why, and I was at a loss. I can only imagine that all lions probably carry this might, this mange might. And it's only when their systems are running low that the might has the conditions in which to proliferate like it is. And I think that that's what's happened, is that this pride has gone through a little bit of pressure from something or somehow, and they're fighting off this infection at the moment. It is possible to survive these infections as giraffe, and as I've seen many lions with this type of infection before. I've even seen wild dog and cheetah with these infections before. So it's not something that I'm too concerned about, to be honest. Nothing that we should be concerned about. It's something that's part of the natural system out here. And I think as soon as they get over this little bit of stress that they're having at the moment, they'll be fine. Now, to answer the question about how old do I think these cubs are, I am going to need a little bit of help with that, because I'm not exactly sure of their birth dates. But there are two sets of cubs here. They are two different ages to one another. One's slightly older than the other by probably about a month or so. I stand to be corrected. I will give you the exact dates in a second or two, just as soon as we can have some or other type of update on that, which shouldn't be too difficult. The lions and the leopard and the cheetah in this area are their lives are very, very, very well documented. Oh, I forgot to invite you to please tell me how old these cubs are. Of course, you can interact with me on this particular safari, and I would love for you to be able to give me the exact dates that these cubs were born, or plus minus, I mean, a few hours out either way, 48 hours or so, either way won't make too much of a difference. But you can send it through to the hashtag Safari Live, or you can email it through to questions@WildEarthTV, and I'll be happy to share those dates with you. I don't see these lions very often. In actual fact, today and this morning was the first time that I actually seen these cubs, and it's only about the third time that I've seen the Styx Pride itself. So as to its history, I'm not that up to date, and I'd rely on your feedback there, absolutely. It would be welcome. Let's have a look at these two. With a tummy full of buffalo like this, they can probably go for around about 2 weeks before they start to look bedraggled. They will most likely start to hunt actively from tomorrow night again. And they'll probably kill something either that night or the night after. It's tough to say exactly when they're going to kill, because they are opportunistic, so they're going to need to have an opportunity to do that. But I think that they'll probably eat within a week from now, and they can last for 2 weeks. On that point, Brent is wanting to give you an update. I think he's feeling a bit left out, perhaps. Well, you'll be glad to know that we didn't crash and roll down that hill, and that is why you lost the signal. We just went into this dip where they're lying. They're inside this dam. It's called Djuma Dam. And so far, I can count 4 baby lions. I think there is more. Let me just have a look here and see what I can see. On the top of the termite mound, I can see nothing. So now, all of a sudden, we are missing 3 cubs. Can't be, though. They must be around. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there you go. There's 4 cubs lying there and 2 cubs here. So now we're just missing 2 cubs. It's amazing how they get lost, actually. They're so camouflaged, even lying here in the open. I know that the mange is making them even more camouflaged than anything. This little one that's closest to us in particular. Look at how swollen his face is from all the scratching. Ugh. To be honest with you, I don't think that this little guy's going to make it. He is just absolutely covered. Anyway, time will tell. If his stars are right, then he'll pull through. If not, he's going to pass on and make space for others. That's just the law of the jungle out here. It's an unfortunate thing. Sad as it is, there can only be so many lions. There is only so much food, and something needs to control these guys. That male is looking absolutely fantastic. He hasn't moved much. He's probably moved about 10 feet the whole day, rolling around. They've been moving with the shadows around this particular tree and this termite mound. He's now lying in the last little bit of the sun, just enjoying the warmth. The females have all gotten up and moved, and the one female is nursing, I think, or the cub is still scratching himself. I'm not too sure. The rest of the little guys all just playing in that hollow. Not playing really, they're going to start playing. I can't imagine that after an entire day lying, digesting a buffalo, that they've done much with this build-up or reservoir of energy that they have. And they're going to have a lot of energy. My feeling is, as soon as it cools down a little bit more, and I'm not even talking hours here, I'm talking a couple of minutes. Brent Leo Smith has managed to find what I couldn't this morning, and he is with the Nkuhumas. I wonder how he got there. Lioness, and I must be honest with you, I'd like to contrast the difference between the healthy Nkuhuma cubs and these pretty grisly Styx cubs. And the reason for the discrepancy is the Nkuhuma cubs, they haven't got this mange mite that's infesting them. And I must say, this little cub that we're busy having a look at now, he's half hidden there by his sibling and his mom, but you can just see he's the one with the head on the right-hand side with his back towards us. You can see the top of his ears there are completely hairless and quite scab. And that's because this mange mite causes a little bit of swelling of the skin, and it's just because of all the licking and the scratching and just generally the irritation that goes on with this mange mite. It's not terminal unless it's in an extreme case. Now, this little cub, when he stood up just now, is a bit skinny. I can see his hips coming out. I can see that his bones are starting to stick out. But believe me when I tell you that this isn't bad just yet. There's a very, very good chance that these cubs pull through. They've just finished a buffalo. Mom is busy lactating. These Birmingham Boy Male Coalition are in full control of this territory. There's no one infringing on them whatsoever, and so there's no stress from that particular environment. We have the dry season in full swing at the moment, which is absolutely glorious for lions. As you can see, this male lion hasn't got a care in the world. Have a look at that relaxed place. I even see a little snore coming out from his lips over there. Just have a look at that. Very relaxed. That lioness, since we got here about 20 minutes ago, she hasn't even moved. He hasn't even given us an open eyeball or flicked her hair, an ear. She's been in dreamland the entire time. Now, as many times as I say this, I'm going to say it again, I am absolutely amazed by the fact that with a simple sentence, I can send you 4,000 kilometers away to where Mr. James Henry has a hyena den he'd love to show you. And yes, these cubs have started to feed again. They're not quite as lethargic as they were a little bit earlier, and that's because the sun is now finally set, as you no doubt would have seen, and it's a little bit cooler, which means that it's a lot easier for these big cats to move around. One of the things that was just the most amazing in the last couple of minutes that we saw here with these lions lying in the darkness here is that because we've been stationary here for so long with nobody around us, that lioness that's on the left-hand side was dreaming. And in her dream, she started to roar. And she roared a full roar, but muffled, like she couldn't really get it out. It was a mumble. It was a dream murmur, but as a roar. I've never seen it before. VM says he's never experienced it before. It was just something completely different to anything that I've ever, heard that a lion does. I've seen them dream and twitch, run even, like dogs run in their sleep, but never roar in their dream before. There's just something bizarre that happened in the last couple of minutes. What an extraordinary day it has been today. Not only do we have the Styx Pride and the Nkuhumas for once in the same show at the same time, but we also went live from the Mara Triangle all the way from Kenya with Mr. Henry and got to see a crocodile attacking some wildebeest crossing. And what are the chances that that happens on our debut from there? I mean, it's just insane. A really fantastic day. Ohio Kimberly, you've asked me a question on whether or not lioness are able to feed only their own cubs or they feed everyone's cubs. And it's nice for me to say that lioness feed anybody's cub. So if a lioness is lactating, she will lactate to any cub, or she will nurse any cub from any of her sisters, not necessarily just her own cubs. And this will carry on all the way until those cubs are weaned. So even older cubs that need more milk, here comes the 7th cub. We were wondering where he is. He's just walked off of this termite mound. So now the full 7 cubs are accounted for. He's just busy walking over to his siblings underneath the tree. So just to finish off that point, that even older cubs that require a lot more milk will nurse from a different mom. And that's a profound statement. It means that the lions don't necessarily keep all their milk just for their cubs, and then anything spare they give to other cubs. It's a free-for-all, first-come, first-serve basis. Completely different in hyenas. In hyenas, it's never a first-come, first-serve basis. One mother will look after her cubs and her cubs only, and it depends on her station and her power and her ability to feed her cubs that will determine the success of those cubs or not. Here we go, back onto these lions. I don't expect them to actually wake up and get moving until it's full dark. This female has lifted up her head every now and again. I think she's just checking on those other little cubs around. There she submits to those 2 little hungry mouths that are needing every little bit of sustenance that they can get so that their bodies can fight off this infestation. Postcard stuff. Lions in the open. It's funny that they've chosen this dam. You know, initially when I got here this morning, I thought that it was a nice place because of that tree you're seeing over there in the shade of the termite mound. I'm not too sure why they exactly chose this particular place, but I'll never know that question, so it's no use me mulling over what I don't know and we don't really have an answer for. But it's come to that particular part of the day when myself and VM have to sign off and say goodbye. So we just want to say thank you very, very much. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your commitment to the product. Thank you very much for all your questions and comments and sending in bits and pieces of information that we can share with you and also to augment my holy mind from time to time. We just want to say goodbye and good luck wherever you are in the world, and you're off to Brent to finish off the show with those beautiful Inkahumas.